It's raining outside, and perfect for 3 terrifying tales. Tonight we'll explore strange knocks in the night, voices from the dark, and secrets best left alone. Please put headphones for the best experience. Comment down below from where you watch and what time it is. Back to the video. I've lived alone in my apartment for 4 years. It's not huge. Just a 1-bedroom unit on the top floor of an old building in Chicago. The kind of place that creaks when it's too cold, groans when it's too hot, and always smells faintly of rust. But it's cheap, and it's mine. I never felt unsafe here. Not until last winter. It started with events. In early December, I noticed a draft in my bedroom. Cold air would seep in late at night, even when the heater was running. I assumed it was just the ancient ductwork failing me, nothing new. But then I began to hear sounds. Not just the usual clicks and hums of old machinery. No, these were soft, subtle, like breathing. The first time I heard it, I was reading in bed. The apartment was dead silent, no TV, no music, and from the vent above my closet, I swear I heard someone exhale. A long, slow breath. I froze, waited, then laughed at myself. Probably just the wind, or maybe the building settling. But it kept happening. Night after night, I'd lie in bed and hear it. Shallow breaths, like someone trying to stay quiet. Sometimes it was almost rhythmic. Inhale, pause, exhale. Always from the same vent. Eventually, I convinced myself it was in my head. Maybe I was hearing my own breath echoing back somehow. I even joked about it to my friend Alex, who works in HVAC. "You're hearing things, man," he laughed over coffee. "Or maybe you've got a pervert in your walls. Check the vents." We both laughed. But I did check them. One night, I unscrewed the cover on the bedroom vent. My phone's flashlight barely reached inside. It was just a narrow shaft leading deeper into the wall. Nothing but dust and darkness. I tried not to think about how wide the space might be or where it led, but the very next night the breathing was louder, closer. That's when I stopped sleeping. The lack of rest started messing with me. I'd stare at the ceiling for hours, waiting for the sound to come, and when it did, I'd hold my breath, trying to distinguish it from my own. I started hearing small scratching sounds, too, like fingernails on metal. Always faint, always from that vent. I bought earplugs. I left the light on. I even tried sleeping on the couch, but that only made it worse. The living room had its own vent, and one night I swore I heard whispering coming from it. Just a single word. Hello. I sat bolt upright, every hair on my body standing. The voice was so soft I wasn't sure I had heard it at all, but then it came again, like someone testing their voice after a long silence. Hello. I grabbed my phone, heart pounding, and called Alex. I didn't even care that it was 3 a.m. "You need to come over," I whispered. "Please, I think someone's in the walls." Alex came the next afternoon, toolbox in hand. He tried to play it cool, but when I described what I'd heard, his expression shifted. "These buildings sometimes have crawl spaces behind the ductwork," he said. "Maintenance shafts and stuff. I'll take a look." We started in the bedroom. He pulled off the vent cover, peered in, then cursed under his breath. "What?" I asked. "There's a gap," he said, pulling out his flashlight. "Pretty wide. You'd never notice unless you looked for it." He climbed on a chair and shoved his arm deep inside. When he pulled it back, his sleeve was covered in dust. And something else. A tiny scrap of fabric. Dark, frayed. Looked like the corner of a hoodie. My mouth went dry. "There's no way that's from the original building materials," Alex muttered. "This is recent." We moved to the living room. Same thing. A space behind the vent, big enough for someone to crawl through. In the kitchen, same. The bathroom, same. It felt like the entire apartment had a hidden corridor behind the walls. Like someone had created a path through the building. A tunnel system. I wanted to throw up. Alex didn't want to call the police. "We don't have real proof," he said. "Let me rig something up first. Maybe we catch him." That night, he installed a small motion sensor camera in the bedroom vent. It was wireless, synced to an app on my phone. If anything moved inside, it would record. I didn't sleep. I lay in bed, eyes fixed on the vent. At 2:11 a.m., the alert went off. My hands trembled as I unlocked my phone and opened the feed. For a second, the camera just showed dust swirling in the dark. Then, movement. A hand. Thin, pale fingers reached slowly into view. They hovered near the edge of the vent, almost as if testing it. The fingernails were long, dirty. Then the hand withdrew, and something worse replaced it. A face. Not a full face, just part of it. One eye, wide, staring directly into the camera. The skin around it was filthy, streaked with grime. The eye blinked once, then vanished. The feed cut out. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I just lay there, phone clutched to my chest, praying it was a nightmare. That I'd fall asleep and wake up to daylight, the sanity. Instead, the breathing came again, louder, closer. It wasn't coming from the vent this time. It was under the bed. I leapt up, bolted from the room, and locked myself in the bathroom. I called 911 and didn't unlock the door until I heard the police arrive. They searched the apartment top to bottom, found nothing. No one in the walls, no forced entry. The crawl spaces were too narrow, they said, impossible for a person to fit. I showed them the footage. They promised to look into it, but I could tell they thought it was fake, a prank, or maybe that I was having a breakdown. They left me with a warning to call again if anything happened. That was it. I moved out the next day. That was 6 months ago. I live in a new place now, smaller, newer, no vents, just baseboard heating and solid walls. I still can't sleep well. I flinch at every sound. I check closets 5 times before bed. I tried to forget. I really did. But last week, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a flash drive. 1 video file. It was from the vent camera. The same one Alex had installed, except this footage was longer. It showed the man crawling out. You only see glimpses, his shoulder, his back, part of his face. He's impossibly thin, dressed in layers of torn clothing, and he moves like he's done it 100 times before. He crawled out into my bedroom, stood up, watched me sleep for 5 full minutes, then crawled back into the vent. I don't know who sent the footage. I don't know how they got it, but I've started hearing things again. Scratching behind the walls, breathing, and last night I swear I heard a whisper coming from the baseboard heater. Hello. There's something about late night television that always unnerved me, even as a kid. The way the screen dims, the silence stretches, and strange infomercials flicker in from nowhere. It feels like you're watching something you shouldn't. Like the TV knows you're alone. Like it's watching back. That's why I stopped falling asleep with the TV on. Until last month. I just moved into a new apartment. A real shoebox, 3rd floor, end of the hall, bare white walls, weird water stains on the ceiling, but it was mine. The first place I ever had by myself. The first night I stayed there, the silence was unbearable. No roommates, no footsteps above or below, just me, the refrigerator humming, and the wind tapping the window. So, I turned on the TV. I didn't even care what was on. I just wanted background noise. It flickered to life, brighter than the rest of the room. The glow settled me. That night, I fell asleep to static. Not an actual channel, just white noise. I must have flipped too far up and hit one of the unused ones. Still, something about it felt comforting. That didn't last long. By the 3rd night, I started waking up in the middle of the night. Every time, the TV would be glowing faintly, still on the static channel. But now it had sound, low and broken, almost like a voice trying to form words under the hiss. I'd sit up and stare at it. For a long time, I told myself it was just the TV searching for a signal. But that didn't explain why it would only happen around 3 a.m., or why the volume seemed to grow each night, even though I never touched the remote. On the fifth night, the voice spoke. I was half asleep when I heard it, a whisper buried in the noise. "You're watching me." My eyes snapped open. At first, I thought it was a dream. I blinked hard, rubbed my eyes. The static crackled on screen, same as ever, but I could feel something change, like the air itself had gone heavy, dense, like I was being stared at. Then the voice came again, louder this time. "I see you." I launched out of bed and yanked the TV cord from the wall. The screen died instantly, but I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next day, I bought a new TV. Different brand, different remote, set it up fresh. That night, I made sure I turned it off before bed and even unplugged it, twice. Still, at 3:03 a.m., I woke up. The TV was on. No glow at first, just the sound, that fuzzy, scratching voice. "Let me out." I flicked on the light. The screen glowed dimly. Static, but not white. This time it was gray, like fog. And shapes moved in it, quick shadows, barely visible unless you stared too long. I left, right then. Didn't even put on shoes. I stayed with a friend for a few nights. Alex again? My one friend who didn't ask questions when I showed up looking like I hadn't slept in days. "I know how this sounds," I told him. "You're stressed, maybe grieving," he said. "I'm not grieving anything." But I was lying. There's something I hadn't told anyone, not even him. Last year, my younger brother Mason went missing. He'd been off the grid for months, last seen in his own apartment just 3 cities over. The police found his place untouched, nothing stolen, no signs of a break-in, but his TV had been on. Static channel. The same one I'd been seeing. I went back to my apartment the next day, told myself it was just paranoia, just trauma echoing. I brought Alex with me for backup. The TV was unplugged. "See?" he said. "Nothing to worry about." We sat for a while. The place felt normal again. But then I saw something on the screen. Even though it was off, the faintest handprint was visible in the glass, like someone touched it from the inside. Alex didn't see it. He thought I needed rest. He left. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the kitchen watching the EV from across the room. I kept it unplugged just to be sure. No remote, no signal, just dead glass. At 3 a.m., it turned on. I swear to you, I watched it happen. The screen sparked to life, even though there was no power. Static, foggy, and gray. The handprint faded in again. Then another. Then a face. Just for a second. Eyes like voids. Mouth wide open like it was screaming, though no sound came out. Then it cut to black. The next day, I threw the TV away. Literally carried it to the dumpster behind the building. That night, I slept better. Dreamless. Quiet. Until the phone rang. Old landline I never used. Never gave the number to anyone. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Silence. Then static. Then the voice, clearer than ever. "You left me behind." I haven't turned on a television since. I sleep with the lights on, the phone unplugged. I've started hearing the static in other places, in the sink drain, the hum of the fridge, the whir of my laptop fan. Like it's following me, or like it was never in the TV at all. Just now, as I write this, my laptop screen flickered. For a split second, it showed a gray face, twisted and grainy, like it had been recorded on an old VHS. I'm starting to think it was Mason, or what's left of him. And now whatever took him wants me too. You're watching me. I live alone. That fact is important. I moved into this apartment 6 months ago. It's nothing fancy. 3rd floor, end of the hall, creaky floors and yellowed walls. But it's quiet. Or at least it was. The first time I heard it, I was lying in bed around 2:30 a.m. The building was dead silent. Then came 3 slow knocks from the other side of my front door. Not pounding, just deliberate. Knock. 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 I froze. I live alone. I wasn't expecting anyone. No footsteps in the hallway before or after. No shadow under the door. I waited, heart racing, and after 10 minutes of silence, I chalked it up to a dream or old pipes. The next night, same time, same sound. 3 knocks. I didn't move. I started locking both deadbolts after that. Didn't stop the knocking. Every night, exactly 2:33 a.m. Knock. 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 I looked through the peephole once. Nothing. Tried opening the door right after hearing it. Nothing. Then I did something I now regret. I started speaking back. "Who's there?" I whispered one night, leaning against the door, palms flat on the cool wood. Silence until a voice, soft and raspy, barely audible. "Let me in." I backed away. Didn't sleep. The next night, I stayed up with my phone camera recording the hallway through the peephole. Nothing showed up, not on the recording, but I heard it again. "Let me in." I told a coworker. He joked it was just a weird neighbor messing with me. So I decided to test it. At 2:30 a.m. the next night, I sat in a chair facing the door, holding a flashlight and a baseball bat. Right on schedule. Knock. 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 I held my breath. The door handle moved. Not a twist. A slow, deliberate rattle, as if someone was trying it carefully. Then a whisper, louder this time. "You already did." I jumped up and opened the door with the bat raised. Nothing. The hallway was empty. Except there were footprints, wet ones, leading up to my door. Bare feet, no shoes, but the hall was bone dry, no rain outside. I followed them for a few feet. They just stopped, vanished. The next day, I installed a camera above my door, one that synced with my phone. That night, the knocks didn't come. Instead, the feed glitched. A frame of static, then nothing. I checked the footage later. At exactly 2:33 a.m., the screen goes dark. Then one single frame appears. A face, pressed right up to the lens. Eyes black, mouth open. No one ever knocked. The door never opened. Somehow, in the middle of the night, something stood outside, watching. The final night I stayed there, the knocks changed. They came from inside the apartment, from a closet. I'd locked it. I always lock it, but the door was open an inch, and from the darkness inside came 3 gentle knocks from my side of the door. Knock, knock, knock. I didn't ask who it was. I ran. Never went back. The landlord called weeks later, said I left my lights on, said the neighbors reported knocking. Always at 2:33 a.m. I live across town now. Different place, different locks. Last night, I woke up suddenly. 3 knocks. Not from the front door. From the closet. And this time, it was already open.